Hello and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for this Friday, June 7th, 2024. Thank you for checking us out however you found us as we recap the week that was on Trending Now, which you can catch every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m., 11:30 on CHCH, CHCH.com, and streaming live on our Trending Now YouTube page. Coming up on today's show, former U.S. President Donald Trump sits down with Dr. Phil and gets surprisingly deep, acknowledging he may need a psychiatrist, but also bringing out some of his classic hits, like attacking the very unattractive California Congressman Adam Schiff. The host of Trending Now, Nicole Martin, sat through the interview so we didn't have to, and joins us with the highlights coming up. Big news in the world of space exploration as SpaceX's giant Starship rocket survived re-entry through Earth's atmosphere. It was the fourth test flight, but the first successful one, and NASA is saying it brings us one step closer to returning to the moon and onward to Mars. Manesa Dhanabalan was on the story this week and joins us with more coming up. And it's been a rude and rough awakening in the WNBA for former college phenom Caitlin Clark, as just about every major sports show had something to say about her this week. Trending Now producer and co-creator Laura Sebben will be by with more on that story before we say goodbye. And before we say goodbye, we say hello to Nicole Martin. And Nicole, it's been a bit of a weird day here at CHCH.
It's a busy day.
We got a great graphic here behind us with our little 70 years logo. I'm rocking. This is a Dwayne Worth OG Channel 11 jacket.
It looks so good. I want one so badly.
It's a little tight. But it's been just such a magical day. You've been here obviously a lot longer than I have. But just seeing the people come by, old and new, sharing memories. We had some viewers here watching Morning Live, like a live studio audience, and then basically all day, people have been coming in and out of the building, cake. It's been tough to get our jobs done.
I know. I'm surprised we're sitting here right now. We've got burgers and sausages in the kitchen.
It's a working newsroom. People have been coming through tours. We had to close the studio door so people couldn't come in. But it really has been a special day here at CHCH.
It is. Everyone's reflecting on so many memories. 70 years. That's a long time. I mean, we're not that old, but I've been here for 10 years, up to 70, and it's been a ride. It's really exciting to see some of the faces that started things off here for CHCH for all of us and passed down the torch. The panel discussion that we all did, that was a blast.
Yeah, just a little plug all this week on Newsmakers. Yep. Don Janescu and I sat down and talked, about the panel. We heard from voices. We talked about some of our past shows, our legacy employees and our current employees. And of course, you had a great story. I'm not going to spoil it for people on this show. So go check out the latest episode of Newsmakers. You had a great story.
It's a story that's TMI, way too much information for everyone, but I let it slip. I let it out there.
You let it.
Yeah.
Choice of words. All right. Former President Donald Trump in recent days has been escalating suggestions that he could prosecute his political enemies if he's elected in November. He sat down with Dr. Phil for Dr. Phil Primetime, these interviews. What did you take away from this chat here?
Oh my God! Well, it's not an interview. It is not an interview. It's a chat. So I like that you called it that, because there was no questioning him on the statements he was making. There's no calling him on any of the lies. If anything, it was just voicing his support. How do you do it? How do you get up every day and take the criticism that you take and that's not an interview. That's just really voicing your support. If anything, it was a therapy session, and I loved how Trump mentioned that at some point. Wow!
He's like, I knew it was you, Dr. Phil, and I said I love doing interviews with you because you're my psychiatrist.
This is what you do. You get to people, and then they start crying. I'm not gonna cry, but you make people cry and everything. So the questions towards the end of the interview, it was a lot about his statements about revenge and coming after his opponents, coming after the people that have done him wrong. And he wasn't super clear. I think he really said that he is for revenge. He tried to be like, I promise you we'll do right by the country. We're going to unite everyone, the whole political spiel. But
this is from the New York Times, kind of summarizing. It said Dr. McGraw brought up the former president's previous statements in an interview that ran on Thursday and gave him an opportunity to say, as Dr. McGraw put it, quote, "Enough is enough. Too much is too much. This is the race to the bottom, and it stops here. It stops now." That's what Dr. Phil said.
Yeah.
And Mr. Trump initially responded, "I'm okay with that," but then added, sometimes I'm sure in certain moments I wouldn't be. You know, when you go through what I've been through. Then Dr. McGrath said revenge, retribution were unhealthy for the country. And Trump didn't even have time to say get even. And he says revenge does take time. I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified, Phil. I have to be honest. Sometimes it can.
Yeah.
He's not really distancing himself from this revenge thing.
No, and it's just Donald Trump fashion. This is just how he has operated well before he got into politics. Well before. This is his business style. He comes after people. He does wrong to people. The number of stories, again, before politics, of contractors that he had hired for projects never paid. Some people died by suicide because of all the financial strain that Donald Trump put them through. So no, revenge is like, that is who he is. This is all he knows. This is what he's done his entire life. So it's kind of a funny question for him. I'm like, yeah, you really think in this hour-long sit-down you're going to change Trump's minds about revenge? Like, no. Absolutely not. Even if he was trying to appeal to the Democrat or undecided voters, no, I think we could see through what this was.
What stuck out to you in the week that Trump has been found guilty? What has been kind of the lasting effect that you've been able to tell? So for me, it's the GOP just really rallying behind him 100%. This is a witch hunt. This is unjust. This is really, it was the opposite. It was 12 jurors. It was Trump had every right to defend himself, to call any witness. I just, it's the falling in line, and I don't know why it surprises me, but it surprises me even to now that everybody is falling in line behind him, even as a convicted felon.
And it's the manipulation. You could look at things from both sides. So in this interview with Dr. Phil, he talks a lot about his conviction and about the trial. And he mentions that, yes, the trial was held in a district that voted, 87% Democrat in the last election. So he has next to no support there, and you're pulling jurors from that area. They had asked for a change of venue. It was denied. Then he's saying that the judge was appointed, because that's how it works in the United States. It's a Democrat judge. So he's trying to politicize everything about it. But at the end of the day, you had 12 jurors who are members of the American public, some of them lawyers on the jury as well. So they would have an even better understanding of what this crime is and what the situation is and looking at the evidence. But then, yeah, just like any story that Trump has faced, any hurdle, there's always his side of the story that can be so far from the truth. And that's, I think, what's taken me aback. And taking me aback to see how many MAGA supporters just listen to every word that he says. Even if he was found guilty, let's just say he wasn't found guilty. Yeah. Putting that hypothetical out there, the fact that he had Stormy Daniels under oath testify to the things that happened between them and like pretty grotesque details. Karen McDougal, so while Trump's wife Melania, pregnant with Barron, the fact he's having an affair, his Access Hollywood tape, grab him by the pee. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, can anyone see this man for who he truly is? No, they still rally behind him even with a conviction.
And he is polling basically 50-50 with Biden,
has
right?
had no impact. If anything,
no impact.
He saw like the biggest
$50 million in funding or in
200
200, yeah.
200 million the day he's convicted. It drove people to go and support his campaign even more.
Somebody who could use $200 million so that he could give it to the victims is Alex Jones. And conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is now seeking court permission to convert his personal bankruptcy reorganization to a liquidation. That would lead to a sell-off of a large portion of the InfoWar host's assets to help pay some of the $1.5 billion that he owes for the families of the victims of Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings. Again, if you don't know this story, he called it a conspiracy. He said they were faking it. He said it was a false flag. They were actors. He called it a hoax. Bankruptcy judge in Houston now holding a hearing next week on whether Jones and his company's cases should be converted on liquidations. This all came, this has all been building up this past weekend.
Oh, it's like honestly the best time of my life watching this man
What
sob.
did you take away? You know we're about to be attacked on YouTube, but just by talking about this, right? Like,
what?
People are very pro. People are very pro Alex Jones.
I know they are.
I've been
Look at the views of our videos that we put out. It's some of our best videos on YouTube.
It's about Alex Jones saying. My thing is, like, if you're on the side of someone who has been forced to pay victims of the deadliest school shooting, children,
young
kindergartners. He called it a hoax. He owes the families $1.5 billion, and you're still choosing to be on that guy's side. I don't know. I don't know. We're never gonna. I'm never gonna. You're gonna be on your. You're never gonna be on my side. I'm never gonna be on your side because you don't see reality for what it is.
No, but they have this whole deep state. That's what they get behind. It's more than Sandy Hook. It's this whole the government's controlling everything. There's this deep state. They're trying to ruin all of our lives, shut us down. No freedom of speech. Blah 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 blah. Don't say the things that you said. Don't cause the fact that all of these families then receive death threat after death threat, people coming at them. Some had to hire security guards. Like what? And they've already lost a child too. Like you're a POS. I don't know. I know we're allowed to swear,
but you don't want to say.
I'm so used to talking on TV.
Yeah.
But like, I cannot believe. So when he started bawling his eyes out on the weekend, thinking that they were going to go in and shut him down. Not only did that appear to be an absolute hoax to me too, what he was doing, because what happened was he's trying to drive everyone to go and buy some like multivitamins or something, like just to drive up his own money to pay off these lawsuits. And he got the attention. He got the media attention that obviously he wanted, and he's still on the air anyways.
According to the most recent financial statements filed in bankruptcy court, Jones personally has about $9 million in assets, including his $2.6 million Austin area home in Texas, other real estate. His living expenses were $69,000 for April alone.
What's he doing? Including
$16,500 for expenses on his home, including maintenance, housekeeping, and insurance.
Where's the adult entertainment? Throw it up.
InfoWars parent company Free Speech Systems employs 44 people, had nearly $4 million cash in hand at the end of April. That business made nearly $3.2 million in April, like you said, including from selling the dietary supplements,
there we go,
clothing, and other items that Jones promotes in his show.
This is him. He's like, oh, this is the worst thing in my life, but look at the number below. If you could just text that and buy some vitamins, that'd be great. Like, what?
He urged his supporters to form a human chain around his Austin studio to prevent a takeover. He said he was sleeping in the studio to guard against the shutdown. Of course, that did not happen.
Yeah, like very next day he's on the air. Hey guys, we're back. InfoWars is here. Yeah.
I mean, the fact he's an outlet, the fact people, and again, like, come after me on YouTube. That's fine. I'm anti Alex Jones. Wow, it's a hot take.
Well, people are coming after you?
Oh, just like us, the show in general.
Show. Okay.
Yeah, for our opinions on Alex Jones.
Well,
I mean, he made $3.2 million last month, I guess. So I don't know.
I didn't make that.
I didn't make that either. So if you have time, I know it's very busy. I know it's been a very chaotic day, so I appreciate you making the time being on the show.
Thanks, Louie.
All right, Nicole Martin, my thanks for joining me. Still have Manesa Dhanabalan is going to be here, and Laura Sebben will be by as well. A lot to get to with Laura Sebben, including her pick for the Canadian Grand Prix, happening in Montreal this weekend. The first practice rounds underway today, right now. So we'll get her thoughts on that. Can Charles Leclerc go back-to-back and Lance Stroll crack the top 10? We'll get all our thoughts on that coming up in just a little bit. WestJet Airlines has replaced its basic ticket tier with a new fare category, Ultra Basic. Sounds like Manesa Dhanabalan, Ultra Basic. And it does away with the free carry-on bag and other perks travelers once clearly took for granted. Travelers flying the new Ultra Basic category will get pre-assigned seats at the back of the aircraft and will have to pay extra to select a seat. And even when checking in, they will also have to board last. Yet another note for Ultra Basic passengers, you will not be permitted to stow a carry-on bag in the overhead bins unless you choose to pay extra for that privilege. However, you can still bring a personal item to be stored under the seat, a carry-on only included for trans-ocean routes. Now, until 2014, the ability to check one bag was included in the cost of an airline ticket in Canada. That was your WestJet announced it would begin charging passengers a fee for their first checked bag, and Air Canada quickly followed suit. Now, WestJet says there will be clear messaging about the new Ultra Basic fare and its limitations throughout the booking process so that travelers don't arrive at the airport unaware of what they cannot travel with a carry-on bag. In addition, they cannot change, cancel, or refund their ticket, and they will not be able to earn WestJet rewards. In a statement, the airline said, We believe these changes will help us continue to provide competitive air travel options while focusing on operational excellence. There is good news. WestJet says the ultra basic travelers will have the same access to onboard food and beverages. So it's not all bad news. Speaking of ultra basic, very pleased now to be say that was mean. That was mean. You've been mean to me all week. So like the fact
Have
that
I actually been mean to you this week? I thought I was being really pretty nice, or was that last week that I was being pretty nice?
Last week you were being nice. Oh, maybe this week you were being nice, but you were mean at some point, right?
I complimented your haircut.
Thank you.
See, I was being very nice.
Thank you.
But it's okay because, if irrelevant people call me ultra basic, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
It was just so, it was
just
right there. It was right there
It was
because
a
you
good one. It was a
sat down.
good
You
one.
sat down. Would you fly ultra basic?
No.
Are you? Do you need a checked bag?
Okay.
How
It
do you
depends
travel?
where I'm going and how long I'm going for. So if I'm going to
You're going to Vancouver for a week.
a week, I can make it work without a check bag if I have a carry-on.
Okay.
And my
you
personal
don't have-
item
you-
will be like somewhat of a
See,
carry-on.
I could probably, and this is why I love those. Like, I think is swoop still a thing?
Yes,
Okay,
I think
flare.
No, is it?
What's not? There's one of those basic ones that's not. Speaking of ultra basic, one of those ones, I had no problem with it. Lynx, something like that.
Remember WOW Airlines?
Wow. Yeah, I had no problem because I can fit everything I need in a backpack, and
Yeah.
then I'm fine.
Yeah.
Didn't bring you in to talk airfare. I brought you on to talk about the race to space. It was a pretty big week this week. SpaceX and Boeing, they both had jets. Fill us in what happened. So SpaceX, this was a success, a rare win for SpaceX this week.
Yes. So after 4 attempts, because the other ones I believe led in explosions,
Yes.
like earlier this year, they finally were able to launch the rocket and the spacecraft. It managed to splash down. In a controlled fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But it was empty, right? Whereas the one that the Boeing, the Starliner, that had 2 astronauts in it. But then they were able to dock at the International Space Station. So that was a big step for Boeing,
Mm-hmm.
especially because this is something that they're doing 4 years behind SpaceX, because
Okay.
SpaceX did this 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And Boeing actually has, I believe, the bigger contract with NASA than SpaceX, to be honest.
These are these contracts. They're basically being subcontracted out because NASA's saying we're not building these anymore.
Yes.
You have the technology. We'll give you the money.
Yep.
You take the risk basically to do this, but if you're successful, there's more money. Which is why SpaceX, it's so important that they've been able to get it back in a controlled environment, right? It didn't explode, is what they're saying. That was the big win. Is that it didn't explode.
Their big win was the fact that it didn't explode, because this is the 4th attempt and stuff, and then it was able to go into the Indian Ocean the way they wanted it to
Okay.
and stuff. But I think personally, for me, the bigger win is for Boeing,
Yeah.
who has been struggling so far. SpaceX has already done it, so
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, what's new? Whereas Boeing is doing it for the first time after lots of problems that they've been running into. They were supposed to do it at the same time as SpaceX back 4 years ago, but then they ran into way too much troubles. And
So just the ship that SpaceX, this is eventually going to have people in it. That's the plan, right? And this is so they can get further, right? So this is the giant Starship rocket.
Mm-hmm.
This is the SpaceX one. This is bigger than the Boeing one, of course, which just got there and that came back. But how significant is this when it comes to, you talked to experts, how significant were the steps made this week? Sorry.
they were huge because SpaceX kind of their bigger thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's to get humanity back to the moon and further on to Mars, right? So it's a critical milestone to kind of get that going.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what's that face for?
I didn't make a face. I actually went to a single camera to get my reaction on that. Never mind. I very clearly made a face.
You
well,
could.
you hit the
I
mic. Was your first day on the podcast or something?
You know what? Keep talking.
Might be your last day on the podcast. Speaking of.
Anyways.
Big day.
Big day, yeah. And it was also China also brought back samples from the other side of the moon, and then New Zealand also they launched something too.
Yeah.
It was like they did something too. So it was a pretty big like space week.
Yeah, really was. It was a pretty big week for elections as well, internationally around the world. I'm going to be talking about the Mexican president, which is a story you covered, but the Indian president, Modi, not much of a surprise.
Another term.
A landslide victory.
But it's not the landslide victory that he actually expected.
Okay.
Right? Like he did lose some of his support, and that possibly could be the reason because of his economic promises and stuff. But the reason why it seems that he was getting more support was some of that. What's the word? I'm losing it. I'm losing.
Friday.
Sorry.
So the coalition, but the coalition parties, like they basically, it was like if it's like the NDP, Greens, and Liberals all came together to form one party to really even have a chance. And they were never really going to win. I think it's called the India Party, was the party that was running against Modi. Because like Modi, like India is a huge country. We're talking about 1 billion people here,
Yeah.
and the amount of work that went into, like there had to be a polling station within like 2 kilometers of where you lived. So even if you lived in this like remote village, it was on whatever the what's his name, John, whatever the HBO show, Last Week Tonight with John
I was going to
Oliver.
make a pretty funny joke, but I didn't want to.
But like, so what's the significance of Modi winning again? Like, it's just business as usual? Is he?
I mean, well, because he didn't garner as much support, he might not have the same kind of like heavy say before, where like before he didn't have to depend on his other like people to kind of form the coalition, but now he does have to do that, right? Is from what my understanding.
Yeah. It's been a big week.
It has been a big week.
How did you celebrate the 70th anniversary today?
I went and had some salad and some of the delicious food.
Yes,
in the
Marquis
canteen.
Garden. Thank
Yes,
you
it
to
was
Marquis
so good.
Garden. Marquis Garden.
Marquis Garden,
The
I
S
think.
is silent. It's not Marquis.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Can somebody correct me? Marquis
I
Garden.
mean, we can't really go by what Louie says.
I was the M.
It's a little
The
incompetent.
S is silent. Thank
I'm
you.
kidding, I'm
Thank
kidding,
you.
I'm kidding.
The S is silent. Marquis Garden. I've been
hear
here.
what I
I've been here
said.
all day. Yeah, no, I didn't. I had somebody talking to my ear. Get out of here then. Go. If you're gonna be mean to me, ultra basic, Manesa. Big plans for the weekend?
Working all weekend. Yeah.
Working. How's the new place?
It is going great. We
Yeah?
settled in.
Yeah?
We ordered a nice
everything
little
now?
picture for the couch. Yeah, we basically have everything. We just needed some bar stools and we got that.
Bar stools.
We placed an order
When is
on Amazon.
when's the housewarming party?
Yeah,
Did it
we're
already
still
come and
planning on
go?
that.
Did it already come and go?
No one came in wet yet. I mean,
Alright.
if you're willing to come all the way to like Mississauga for that, I mean,
Don't tell people where you live.
it's a city.
I don't know. Don't tell people. I don't tell people where I live.
I'm pretty sure everyone already knows, but okay.
Manesa Dhanabalan, everybody. Thanks for doing this. Have a great weekend.
You too, take care.
All right, my thanks to Manesa Dhanabalan for joining me. And I mentioned one election that she was covering. That was the Indian one. She also covered the Mexican election, as it was a big day in Mexico this week as the country elected its first female president, Claudia Sheinbaum. Many of her supporters say a woman stepping into power is a major step. One of them saying, quote, "This is also a victory for all the women who have fought alongside her. We have fought for the rights of women and minorities as well." Now, Sheinbaum is a climate scientist, a former Mexico City mayor, and lifelong leftist, and she vowed to fight corruption and continue the outgoing president's work, helping residents out of poverty. She began her political career back in 2000 as the environment chief under now President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. In 2007, she won the Nobel Prize with her team after joining the International Panel on Climate Change. Later, she became Mexico City's first female mayor in 2018 and stepped down in 2023 to run for president. Now, the long-delayed initial vote counts gave her a crushing margin of victory, even higher than the one Lopez Obrador won in 2018 with tallies giving Sheinbaum about 59% of the votes, twice as many as her nearest competitor, who received around 28%. She'll start her 6-year term in October. All right, it was a weird week in the WNBA because everybody was talking about the WNBA for better or for worse. We had one very prominent ESPN host talking about, what do you call her? A white... Boo! And I can say it, but I'm not going to use that word to describe women here. I know what show I'm on. I know the fantastic women who work on this show, and one of them is sitting across from me, and Laura Sebben. Laura, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. What did you make of all this Caitlin Clark stuff? The Kennedy, kind of the push, the shoving. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and be like Stephen A. Smith and pretend like I've been following the WNBA all this time. So I didn't make too much of it until things blew up. And I think the leading voices who have commented on this have been black sports analysts who have said this has been happening forever in this league, and you guys are just caring now because it's happening to a white superstar. Because they were even bringing up the fact, Bob Costas, he is not a black sports commentator, but he was on CNN and he brought up the fact that, like Angel Reese is also can be credited as one of those people who came out of the NCAA, like her, Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, who really brought the spotlight. The whole interaction of the waving of the hand and the pointing of the ring finger was between Angel and Caitlin, and that was really what thrust these girls into the spotlight. And that was last year, not even this year. And so he brought up the fact that she has been getting some pretty brutal hits, and nobody's been up in arms about that. But it's because this is kind of the first time that white America has seen somebody that looks like them in basketball as being like the face of a league, right? Yeah. Like you've never really gotten that in the NBA or really the WNBA until this year. So they were kind of bringing up that, do the rookies deserve to be getting thrown to the floor as often as they have been? No. But are people paying more attention to it when it happens to Caitlin Clark because she's white? Probably.
Yeah, and I just find it interesting, they're still talking about the WNBA. Yeah. Like, it's not, I think it was Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon, pardon the interruption.
Yes.
They had a very thorough, nuanced debate about the subject without referring to anyone as a B word or, but yeah, I get the sense. And, just a plug to Bubba's Sports Line podcast. He had Tamika Nurse on this week, and it was a really good conversation about the WNBA and maybe the racial overtones of some of the storylines that are coming out.
Yeah, and shout out to Bubba because he helped us a lot with our coverage when we did it too.
Again, we're going to leave that. For me personally, as somebody who doesn't watch it or even pretend to be a WNBA analyst, Tanika Nurse, of course, that's her job.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that conversation for Bubba and Tanika, and I encourage everybody to check it out on the latest Sports Line podcast. All right, it's a weird Pride Month. In the sense that, locally, I think of St. Catharines. Sean Cowan had a story about it this week. St. Catharines canceled their St. Catharines Pride, Niagara Pride, whatever it's called. They canceled their youth prom. It's kind of a pride prom. They had to cancel that out of security concerns. They needed additional funding to keep people out for fencing and things like that. It seems like we're making progress, and then we're not. Like, is that fair? Like, it seems like we're making, like, even the federal government has had to step up and say, here's additional money for security, which if we are becoming a more inclusive society, like some of us hope we are becoming, we shouldn't need this kind of increased security.
And I think it's funny because I think the people that they need this security to keep out are the same people who are shouting things like, you're corrupting our youth, you're endangering our youth, how dare you teach them this stuff? And then it's like they're trying to have this nice event for youth, and those same people saying that are getting it canceled because they're endangering the youth who are participating. Yeah. It's frustrating to do stuff we've already done. Like, to go backwards. We've already proven that members of the LGBTQ plus community deserve to be treated the same way everybody else gets treated. And so the fact that we're having people in the States and in other countries like Uganda last year setting up these terrible laws that rescind their rights that we've already fought for and won, I just don't get it. I will never understand I will never understand why it's already been done. So just leave it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to like add to it as a politician or whatever, fine. Don't add to it. That's your prerogative. But it's already been done. So just leave it.
Don't go backwards.
Just leave it. Okay.
Yeah.
No one's bothering anybody. It's all love. Like, I will never understand the hate that people have for this group of people. I won't.
And it's like, we're talking about like Pierre Trudeau, so, I don't get involved with, what happens in the bedrooms of people. Like, basically is what we're saying. Like, doesn't really concern you whatsoever.
No. And like, guess what? If you are, like, I always think the people like to bring up the kid angle.
Yeah.
If you're worried about your kids finding out about this stuff, like, and you're walking down the streets of Toronto and you see a drag queen and your kid goes, "Who's that?" The drag queen's not running over and being like, "Let me tell you all about this." You have the opportunity to say, "Oh, that's just somebody dressing up." Like, you don't have to explain to them what that's all about if you think that they're at an age that you don't want them to know that stuff. So, like, it still is on you as a parent to answer those questions in whatever way you choose. So I don't know why they're acting like gay people are just out here being like, everybody be gay and we're going to talk about being gay 24/7. Like, it's just everybody likes to be dramatic and make it seem like it's way worse than it actually is.
Today is the 70th anniversary of CHCH going on the air. Mm-hmm. So it makes this next thing I'm about to say bittersweet because we're celebrating everything that was been in the past. You got something you want to say? You got something you want to pass along to the masses here?
To the masses who are watching our podcast?
The dozens of people who are watching our podcast right now?
Yes, I have quit CHCH News. I'm not gone until the end of June, but this is the last podcast we're going to do before then. Could that be considered a reason why I quit? Maybe. But yes, I quit CHCH and Trending Now, and it was a very, very difficult decision for me to make. I love my team. I love Nicole. We created this baby together, and I'm obviously sad to be giving it up, and I'm sad that I won't be able to work with her every day. I'm sad I won't be able to work with our editors, Justin and Francesca. I'm sad I won't be able to work with you. Oh my God.
What? Oh, we can blur his face in post too, so just in case. But he is representing, by the way.
Yeah, the Tiger Cats. Let's go.
Ticats season opener tonight in Calgary.
There it is.
Well, listen. This show was something that was created. Basically, it was part of your pitch, and you've really given me the freedom to make it my own and to get to have you and to get to sit down every week and recap what you guys talk about. I'm not sure what the future holds. Obviously, we're going to move forward as a team without you somehow. Somehow, we're going to have to try. But it really has been special. And Nicole, I don't know, do you have anything you want to add? Or?
We love you so much. I'm going to start crying, so I can't. You're already tearing up too. We love you so much. We're going to miss you so much.
Thank you.
This would not have happened without you.
Thank you.
You're fantastic at what you do, and whoever you work for, or if you work for yourself, whatever you end up doing next, you're going to be so successful because of who you are.
Thank you. And I honestly couldn't have done any of this without the three of you guys. So it's been the best.
Four.
Louie, the OG was the four of us.
I know.
You came in, you helped make Trending Now what it is, and I can't not also thank Jason, Manesa, and Emily, who have been amazing being our VJs. While Nicole was on mat leave, I had Kelly be an amazing host, and then when Kelly left me, I had Matt be an amazing host. So there's been a lot of people.
We're thinking of we're forgetting about another amazing host on the show, Emily Taylor, and then
yes. But
I teased at this.
This is Louie's show.
This is my show. Have you seen the poster outside? Have you seen the
podcast?
Yeah.
Hey, they tried to put me on that poster, and I said no.
Well, I mean, now I understand. I got two. I have two posters.
There's another one that just
is there?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. I did ask who's going to win. I teased it. Who's going to win the F1?
Lewis Hamilton.
Wow. He's won 7 in Montreal, right?
Yeah,
Or in
so
Canada?
let's go 8.
Listen, on behalf of all of us, thank you for doing what you do. It's been a lot of fun. Just a programming note, you mentioned there's no show next week.
There's no show next week.
There's no show the week after. I'm in Deerhurst, and then I'm on Morning Live.
Yeah.
So the Trending Now podcast is taking a bit of a hiatus as well, and we'll be back in July. However that looks, unfortunately won't be with you.
You're going to lose a lot of viewers with me not being on it, so.
We can't afford to lose very many, so hopefully not too many.
Keep talking about Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, so thank you to Mike Corson for directing today's show. Thank you guys for being a part of it as well. Thanks, Manesa Dhanabalan, too. And thank you for watching and listening. We really do appreciate it. And hey, while you're watching and listening and subscribing, make sure you like all of our Trending Now social media channels. You can find them at Trending Now CHCH on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. And while you're liking and subscribing, make sure you do that with the CHCH podcast page, which you can find on all the major podcast platforms, wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can scan the QR code on your screen if you're watching, or you go to chch.com/podcast. It has been a long week for all of us here. Happy 70th birthday, CHCH, and from all of us here at CHCH for all those 70 years, I'm Louie Butko, wishing you a very happy weekend.